Okay, so we'll start with your homework questions. 3.2 and 3.3 is supposed to be due on this coming Wednesday. So does anyone have any questions on 3.2 and 3.3? Anyone have any questions on 3.2, 3.3? Either you talk to me or you put in the chat room. Anyone have any questions on that one? So 3.2 and 3.3 is due tonight, not tonight, Wednesday midnight. Those are the two sections it will be due. Anyone have any questions? We still haven't finished 3.3 yet. I think we just started a little bit. So we definitely will we'll go over 3.3 today because we still need to go over some 3.3. Yep, we are just starting on that one. So anyone have any questions for me on 3.2 and 3.3? So in the chat room, you cannot hear me. Anyone can hear me beside Lawrence? You might need to. Anyone can hear me? I know Taven say she can hear me, but yeah, Casey say yes. Lawrence, you probably might have a speaker problem, so you might need to come back to your Zoom. I do not know. You cannot hear me at all. The rest of the students, can you hear me beside Lawrence?
Yeah.
Yep, they all can hear me. Yep. So Lawrence, either you get a new computer or a new laptop or something, or a speaker or something else, because they all can hear me. Yep. Anyone have any questions for me for 3.2 and 3.3? All right, we'll talk about 3.3 then. So you guys are like, so again, 3.3, this formula you need to memorize as I've written down here. So make sure you memorize this formula for your test. Or either way, if you don't want to memorize the formula, as I told you, right, you can use one piece of your paper to write your formulas or anything you want. Make sure it's just a front page, right, for your test and your midterm and your finals, just a front page. So just make sure that, again, I'm going to emphasize here because some students think they can use both pages, just the front page, not both page. Okay, so make sure that when you guys, do the front page and then not the both pages, that will be something that so I will check for your test when your midterm comes. I will swing by to you and say, where is your piece of paper, and I look at it, and if you got something on the back page, I will probably just do something about it, call you to erase it or something else. So we talk about the z-score. The formula to find z-score is given us by this formula, where x in this case is your value that you want to test for. Mu in this case is your mean, so that is your mean, and sigma in this case is your standard deviation. If you want to know what is the unit for z-score, there is no units for z-score, but if you want to figure out what is the unit in this case is in standard deviation. Okay, so that is a unit if you want to, and that's the standard deviation. And z-score is very similar to empirical rule. So I remember last time in empirical rule, which is the normal distribution, right in the middle is your mean, and then you got 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, and then 3 standard deviation. This is what we talk about on Wednesday class. So so 68%, empirical rule says that 68% falls into the first standard deviation, 95% falls into 2 standard deviation, and then 99.7% fall into 3 standard deviation. This is what you guys did in 3.2. So what I'm going to tell you here is that last time we do this is your mean, then you take plus 1 standard deviation plus 2 standard deviation. So if you want to change it to become z-score,
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lawrence, I can hear you.
Oh my God, I can't hear you.
I do not know. I can hear you.
Oh my God, what's going on here?
Do not know. So you might need to, Lawrence, you might need to exit the Zoom and then come back in. Yep. I recommend you to do that. So exit the Zoom and come back in. Yep. So the first one here is a 0 standard deviation. So this is 1, 2, and 3, and then -1 and -2 and -3 standard. So these are your standard deviation in this case. So this numbers is your z-score. Okay. So if you remember last time when you did this in my class on Wednesday, we don't use this number. We take your test score, right? Remember last time the mean is like 73. And the standard deviation, I say, is 4, something like that, right? So you just find this is middle is 73, and then you keep adding 4, 77, and 82, and so on. This is not your z-score. Okay, those are just your test score. So the real z-score is in between 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and -1, 2, 3, 4. And as you guys know that anything that falls between 2 and -2, this is considered no significant. And anything falls below this is considered significantly low. And anything falls above this is significantly high. Okay, so this is written down as here. That's what we talk about significantly. So anything that falls between anything that is less than -2 is considered significantly low. Anything that is scored above 2 is significantly high in this case. Okay, so so make sure you guys know that it's just very similar to part of it. Next thing, so this is what we did last time in your in the class. So today we're going to talk about the rest of this location here. So we talk about percentile. So what is percentile? A percentile is actually a measure of location, and we break the whole data into 100 groups. So that means every 1% increase, we call it as a percentile. So how do we denote that? Is P1, P2, P3, P4. P1 stands for first percentile. P99 means 99th percentile. P1 in this case means that if you got P1 means that you are the lowest score in the class, and P99 means you are the highest score. Okay, so if you say, let's say that you took a test and I tell you guys, oh, your test, you get P1, that means no good. That means you are the lowest score in the classroom. And if I say you are P99, means you are the highest score. And let's say if I say you are P79, this means that 79% of the class you do better than them. So you do better. You perform better 79% of the class. That means that 21% of the class do better than you. So 21% of, another meaning is 21%, which is the complement. 79 plus 21 is 100% of the class did better than you. So 79 is okay, it's not bad, it's not good, but P1 first percentile is really, really bad. Okay, so so make sure you guys know that the higher the percentile, the better it is. It does not mean that if you get P79, this does not mean that you score 79% in the test. So this is wrong. So so when you got a 79 percentile, does not mean that your test score, let's say this is a correct test, you are 79, you got 79% in your test. No, this is no. Okay, so that means it's just a location. Where are you located in the whole class? How well do you do? How bad do you do? So that is the meaning of percentile. So in StatCrunch, how do you figure out percentile in this case? Is you have to enter it at the second last line. Okay, when you do your when you do your final, remember how you find your mean, your standard deviation, so on. You go on the stat column, right? So that is how it's on the second last line here. I'll show it to you right now. where do you find your percentile in your StatCrunch here. So you go to StatCrunch and then you go under stats, you go under summary stats and columns. The last thing the last time you guys did the mean, the median, you pick a value, make sure you pick a variable. So right over here, you see right underneath this table, you see percentiles right here. So so make sure if you enter 30. So if you want to find the 30th percentile, you enter 30. So you just enter like 79. If you want to enter multiple like 45 and 30, so they will find if you enter like this, means they will find you 3 percentile, the 79th percentile, the 45th, and the 30th percentile. So make sure that you just put comma to separate, and then you hit compute, and you get yourself the percentile. So for the percentile class, make sure you have to actually enter the numbers that you want in here. You guys got what I'm saying here? And you have to select a column. I'll give you an example here. Let's say that let's go to the StatCrunch. Let's say I want you guys to put the data set from your textbook. Let's do like president. So this is a president's, this is all the presidents to Obama. This is how old are they when they inaugurated, become a president. So if I want you guys to find the 40th percentile of the age of a president, so what you go here is go to stat, go to summary stats, go to column, and then select age because we are concentrating on age. And I'm asking you for 40th percentile. You just type 40th and you hit compute. It's on the very end there. So the 40th percentile age for the US president here is 54. Okay, so this is the one that you need to figure out. So this is how you figure out your percentile. It's very straightforward type in your StatCrunch. Okay, everyone doing all right here with this? Okay, so you had to end on the second last one. So that is percentile. So quartiles. Quartiles is like percentile, but it breaks instead of 1%, it breaks to 25%. So quartile is a 25%. So in this case, we only got 3 types. We only have Q1, Q2, and Q3. So this is Q1 is the first quartile, Q2 is the second quartile, and Q3 is the third quartile. Again, there are 25%. So for each of the quartiles here. So Q1 is also called as 25 percentile. It means that you separate bottom 25% to a top 75%. Q2 is the second quartile, which is the same as 50th percentile, which is also median. And Q2 second quartile is your 50-50. That means your bottom 50 with the top 50. So you're right in the middle. So it's like a median. So we don't use Q2. Usually we use median. They are the same. Okay. Q3, the third third quartile is 75 percentile. Means it's separate between bottom 75% to top 25%. Now, what is the meaning when I say bottom 25%, top 75%? It means something like this. So when you have a normal curve, so when you have a Q1 of 25 percentile, it means that this part here is 25%. And this will be 75% in this case. So this is a meaning when I say this is a Q1. Okay. So for the first percentile, it means that your bottom 25% or top 75%, that means on the other side is top 75%. And when you talk about Q2, Q2 is right in the middle, means right 50-50. And then when you talk about Q3, Q3 is somewhere here, where the top part here is 25%. And the bottom part in this case is 75%. So that's the meaning of Q1, Q2, and Q3. And do not forget the formula for IQR, which you learned it on the previous section, that IQR in this case is Q3 minus Q1. Okay, so that means that if you want to find IQR, you find the difference between these two. Then that is your IQR in this case. Okay. So again, in your StatCrunch, they will give you Q3 and Q1. Okay, so IQR, you just subtract these two, which is 7 in this case. Okay, so why we so that is the quartiles we have here. The next one we have is a 5-number summary. So the reason why we call this as a 5-number summary is because it consists of 5 numbers. For 5-number summary, so it consists of 5 numbers here. So what are the, sorry, not highlights, there you go. So there are 5-number summary. So what are the 5-number summary in this case? Your 5-number summary is your minimum, your Q1 first quartile, your median or second quartile, your Q3, and your maximum. So these are your 5-number summary. And yes, if you use your stack crunch, they will give you the 5-number summary. The minimum is here, the max is here, the Q1, the Q3, and the median. So these are your 5-number summary. So make sure you know which numbers you need to report for the 5-number summary. Okay, minimum, maximum, Q1, Q3, and median. So these are the 5-number summary here. So so what is the useful of doing a 5-number summary? Is doing what we call as a modified box plot. Okay, so what is a modified box plot? A modified box plot is where it's a graph that consists of a box and a line. Sometimes you call it box and whiskers. So this is what a modified box plot looks like. Okay, it will have a box and it will have a whiskers like this, a line. Okay, so there are 5 horizontal lines: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These 5 numbers, these 5 lines here is where you use your 5-number summary. Means this line is your minimum, the first line, the first initial line. The one in the box, the starting box in this case is your Q1. So this number is your Q1. This is your median. And then this is Q3. This is your maximum. So this is your 5-number. That's the reason why the 5-number summary is so important, is because it will draw us what we call as a modified box plot. And yes, your stack crunch will do this for you, so you do not need to build this by hand or figure out this and draw it your own. So your stack crunch will draw this on your own. I can show it to you how to do it once I finish talking about what is all these important features of box plot. Your box plot also can identify outliers. So this is very important to us. It's because if you have a box plot that have outliers, your box plot will look something like this. It will be the same thing as a box, and then you got dot here. Now, if your dot is on the right side, means these dots that you see here is your outliers. Those are what we call as outliers. So the more dots that you see, the more outliers you get. And your dots also can be on the left side. So don't forget, outliers exist on the left side, can be on the left side, on the lower end, the low part, and the higher end. And sometimes your dot plots, your outliers can be on both sides. Yes. So as long as you see dots at the back, or sometimes they use asterisk. Okay, depends on I don't know what your setting is. A dot, a square, an asterisk, or whatever you use. As long as you see those, that means those are all your outliers. Okay. So if you have such case, if you have like the one outliers on the right side, then this is still your minimum. This is still your Q1. This will be your median. This is still your median. This is still Q3. Your maximum in this case is not this line. Your maximum in this case is your outside, your last dot of the outlier. That is your maximum. Same thing on this side. This number is not, this will be your minimum here. And this will be your maximum. And then same thing, this is Q1, median, and Q3. So usually the one in the box, usually if you talk about the box by itself, it's always start Q1, median, and Q3. Okay. And then if you have such case, then this is your minimum and this will be your maximum. Okay. And same thing, Q1, Q2, Q3 in the Q1, median, Q3 in the box. So so that is the first important rules about drawing a box. Know your box plot is it will identify outliers. So it's very important for us. Next thing is it also tells us the skewness of your data. So when you have drawn a box plot, it can tell is that a skew left or skew right, or you can tell it is symmetrical. Okay, so in this case, how do we know if it's skew left or skew right? You look at your, or symmetrical, you look at your box plot. So if you have such case like the first one that I draw, this is considered symmetrical because the left side and the right side of the box kind of look the same length. And then the line, the whiskers, we call it, is also kind of the same. So we do not need to be exactly the same length. So this is what we call as symmetrical. If you have a box plot that looks something like on the second one, because you have outliers on the right, then this box plot will be skewed on the right. Okay, because it does include a box plot. And if your outliers is on the left side here, then this fellow will skew on the left. And if you have something like what we have over here, you got outliers on the left side and right side. This is also considered a symmetrical case because you know, they got let's say if I don't have, let me erase this fellow here. So you will have kind of symmetrical. So because your box is a little bit, I know it's not the same, but for me, in the stats world, you do not need to be exactly the same length, you know. So it's kind of like, you know, a little bit off is fine. So if I have this box plot, I will say it is considered symmetrical. But if this is snap from skew left and this is snap from skew right. So a box plot is very, very important to us because one, it can identify outliers. Two, it can tell us the distribution, the D, either the skewness, left or right, or symmetrical. So that's why when you guys want to interpret your box plot, in order for us to interpret your box plot, you have to go CVDO. Okay. So there is a big thing about in your tests. I will always want you to interpret your box plot. How do you interpret your box plot is CVDO. So this is very important again, class. So C stands for center, V stands for variation. So if your box plot have outliers, so the C that you need to report here will be median, and the V in this case, the variation in this case will be IQ1. So this is very, very important, okay? And if your box plot does not show any outliers, then the center you report here is the mean, and the variation that you have report here is your standard deviation. So this is the how do you interpret your CVDO? Okay, so C, if the outlier exists, median and IQR. No outlier exists, mean and standard deviation. So let me teach you how to do this so that you know how to do it in your StatCrunch. And then after that, I will teach you how to interpret this using CVDO based on, you know, the data. So let's say that we got StatCrunch. So this is the StatCrunch for the US presidents, right? All the way to Obama. So so what we're gonna do here is we want to figure out the box plot. So how do you draw your box plot here? It's very easy. You go to graph, and there is one box plot. You see the box plot here? Okay, so click on it. We go for the age because this is the age of president that we want to. Now, make sure you check this. Use fences to identifying outliers. So that means that if you check on this, means they will show outliers. If you don't check on this, they will not show outliers. So as you know that it defeats the purpose of box plot. So you check on it. And when you graph this, they only graph on it vertically. So that means your box, if you didn't check this point, your box plot, they graph it like this. Like this, okay? So what you do is if you want to graph horizontally, you just check on this point. So these 2 points, I recommend you to check it, and then you can skip the rest of it, and then you just hit compute. And you guys got what we call as a box plot here. And we do have an outlier here. This little dot here is your outlier. So, so in this case, you just need to draw it out. So if I come up this question in your test, I say, I want you guys to draw me the box plot. What you do is that in your paper, let's say this is your test paper here, you just kind of copy and paste it. So what do you do here is you just write, oh, this one looks something like this. And then draw a little dot over here. So it's kind of like this one. Okay, I'm not picky, so when you do it in my test, you just draw it up like this. This is what I want you to draw. So yes, in the test, I usually want you to draw a box plot, but you also need to identify the 5-number summary. Okay, so how do you identify the 5-number summary? You have to go to your the stack in the StatCrunch. You have to go to stats, summary stats, and column, and do the H. Remember that, and do the compute. So these are your 5-number summary, your minimum, maximum, Q1, Q3, median. So how do you do this into your box plot is you write down. So your minimum is 42. So 42 is right here. So you have to label this 42, that's your minimum. Q1 is 51. So the next line here is 51, is a Q1. Middle is median, which is 54.5. This one is your Q3, which is 58. I put on top here, I have no room to put down there. And don't forget, this dot here is your maximum. So this dot is actually 69. That's your maximum in this case. So this is how you get the box plot from your StatCrunch, and then how you put a 5-number summary on it. So you have to do 2 things. One on the graph, you do your box plot, and the other one is on stat, summary stat, like what you did in mean, median, standard deviation. That's how you do your 5-number summary. And then the last thing that I want you guys to do is to interpret this. So every time when you want to interpret your box plot in this case, you need to do your CBDO. So in your test, this worth like quite a lot of points, because this worth 2 points because the box plot worth a point, and then the 5 numbers are worth a point. This one worth 4 points. So when you write this in your test, make sure you write this in full sentence. Okay, so so make sure you write in the full sentences in this case. So for example, in here is in order for us to figure out which C and which V central variation that we use here, you have to look at it. Do we have any outliers or no outliers? So looking at this box plot, do we have any outliers in this case? Do you have any outliers in this case?
Yeah, it's the 69, isn't it?
69, yeah, this is the outliers, right? So since we have an outliers, so we have to, since we have an outlier, so we have to report the median and the IQR. So what you do here is you interpret the median in this case is what? So you have to write it out. No shortcut. In the test, same thing. So the median is right here, 54.5. And don't forget the units, because this is talking about age of the presidents. So this is years old, because this is how old are they. So this is the C. Okay. Next is the variation V. That will be, if you look at it, since we have outliers, we have to use IQR. So the IQR in this case will be what? So since Q3 in this case is 58, Q1 is 51. So what is the difference between 58 and 51? That will be your IQR. That will be 7. Yep. So the IQR in this case is 7, and don't forget the years old. So this is your C, this is your V, and then next we'll do D, which is the distribution. Now, in this box plot, is this skew left, skew right, or symmetry?
Symmetry.
So you can say symmetry because it's including the outline, because this outline is not that far. So yes, I take symmetry. So so you can say that don't give me symmetry in the test, you won't get full points. You do have to write this out as a sentence. So the distribution is symmetrical.
Okay.
Now a lot of students say normal distribute. It's normal. A lot of students use the word normal. So do not use the word normal here because box plot cannot show normal distribution. It can only show symmetrical or skew left, skew right. But some of you will argue with me because there is a little dot over here that will pull this towards where? Towards the right. So some of you will say, instead of symmetrical, some of you will use the words. If you don't want to use symmetrical, then you can say this is skewed to the right. I am okay with it, but as I told you in your test, I am not picky as long as you don't tell me skew to the left. So if you want to say symmetrical, I'll take it, like Marlon says. And if some of you say, David, can I say skew to the right? I will say yes. You can also use skew to the right. I okay with this too. You guys with me here? And the last one we have is O.
How did you get the 7-year-old again? Was that Q1 minus Q3?
Q3 minus Q1, yes.
Okay, 51 and 58. Okay, gotcha.
51 and 58. And the last one we have is O, which is symbolized as outliers. Do we have any outliers in this case? Yes. And what is the outlier in this case? The number 69, right? So in this case, there is an outlier. And that outlier, if you want to be more specific, 69. Okay, this dot that you have. If you do not want to do the summary statistic that I did here with you guys, you can actually just hover this around here, and they if you move your mouse towards the box plot, they will give you all the 5-number summary. You see that the IQR is, they even give you the IQR. The IQR is 7. The lower limit is 42, so that's why you got 42 over here. Okay, and then the Q1 is 51, 54.5, 58, and 60. Now, this is weird. The upper limit is 68. Do not look at the upper limit and lower limit because upper limit and lower limit is not the same as your minimum and maximum. So that is the only thing I want to point out. So I recommend you to just use this. Okay, and they will also tell you how many outliers. There are 1 outliers, and they give you the IQR. So so just want to point out to you that don't use the lower and upper limit. Use the minimum and maximum here. Okay. What is the upper limit? 68. 68 means that this number is 68. Okay. So that is the meaning when I say when the box plot shows 68, means that number on that far to the right end of that line that on the box there is 68. So that last dot you have is your maximum 69. So watch carefully with this, what it means here. Okay. And if you want to figure out whose president is 69 years old, StatCrunch has a very easy user-friendly here. Is you just highlight this. So you just get to your mouse and you kind of like draw a box on it. And it will turn pink. You see that? You kind of like draw make a box on it, and they will power out that actually Reagan is the one that has 69 years old. So so you just drag and then make a little like a box on it, and they will tell you which one is the outlier. So in this case, Reagan here. And if you want to get rid of it, you just use this clear one, and they will get rid of that one. So again, in order for you to figure out, you can read through your 69, you can find it if you want to, but the best way is just highlight this, and then they will tell you which one is the one. So it's very user friendly, so you do not need to worry much about your data here. So it's very, and again, you do not need to put a lot of work, so make sure you know how to assess this. So this is how we do your CVDO, your 5-number summary. Okay, so now this is your turn here to do some work for me. So this is question 4. You have to refer to the Oscar in your data set. So when I say refer Oscar in the data set, means you have to go to your your my stat lab, and then go to the data set. Go to the Oscar data set, and you need to figure out the actors in it. You want to find the P70, 17, P90, and Q1. This is what I want you to find. And then after that, you have to construct the modified box plot like the one that we just did for the US president one, and report the 5-number summary, which is the minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. And then you interpret this. So remember what happens when I call you guys to interpret this? You have to give me the CBDO here, which is very similar to what we just did over here. Okay, but you just need to put it out. So does anyone know how you get Oscar data from your data set? Go to your StatCrunch, go to your My Stat Lab, into your StatCrunch, and where do you click? One. This is what you will get in my test.
Don't you, when you open it, don't you have to go and figure out where that Oscar
Where do
stuff
you
is?
go? Where do you go?
Is it the StatCrunch website
No.
or the data
It-
from your
Data set from your
Textbook.
textbook. Yeah, this is where you go. So you go to your My Stat Lab, your homework, go to StatCrunch, data set from your textbook, click on it, and what do you get? These are all the data set. And which data set am I looking for?
Oscar winner age?
Oscar winner age. So click on it, and they will automatically import all this. And based on this question number 4, are we looking for the actors or actress?
Actresses.
So actresses. So we are concentrating on actresses. And the question wants us to find what is the P17, P90, and Q1. So how do I do this in here? To find this P17, P90, and Q1. So this is how you do this. Pay attention. And guys, watch this Zoom video again if you don't get it. So you go under stats, go under what? Summary stats, and go under column. The same thing, you guys find the mean, median, all those things. And which one do you need to highlight here? Actresses. Yep, click on it, you will go over there. And don't forget, because we're looking for percentiles here, because that is meaning of the P17 and P90. So what do we need to put in percentile here?
17,
Comma,
90.
comma, and Q1. Do you think we have Q1 in this already?
Yeah, it's in the statistics, isn't
It's
it?
in the statistic here. Yep. So we do not need an extra comma. So we just need those two, and you hit compute. So can someone tell me, by looking at this results, what is your P17, P90, and Q1?
17 and 54, 27 and 54, and Q1 is 29.
Yep, so P17 is 27, P90 in this case is 54, which are the last two, and Q1 is almost towards the last 29. And don't forget the unit. What is the unit here, class?
Percent?
Age.
Age. No, unit is not age. So age is usually measured in what unit?
Years.
Years old, right? So this is units in years old. So this is how you figure out your P17, P90, and Q1. Now next, you need to draw the modified box plot. So how do you draw a modified box plot here? So since it's a graph, so you go under graph and you go click on what? Box plot. Mhm. And then which one we need, actresses or actress?
Actresses.
So we click that one, and don't forget, if you want to draw horizontal, make sure you double check on this point, this 2 little fellow here. and just hit compute. So what you do here is you just kind of like, trace it out. Okay. So again, I don't have, you can please trace it out on here if you have the paper. So trace it out. And how many outliers do we have here, class? How many dots? So make sure you have that many dots. You guys with me here? 6, right? Should have 6 dots here. So let me do a new, because I cannot write on the PDF there. So I will do this over here. So this is 3.3. So this is for question 4. I just copy down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, and then you got 2 more that is quite far away, like this one and this one. So this is what you guys need to do for my test. Okay, I'm not picky. Make sure I'm counting 6 and I'm looking at like something like this. But this question wants us to do the 5-number summary. So now you have to refer to this first summary statistic that you have. Can you tell me what is the 5-number summary for here? Start out with what number? This one is your minimum. Or you
21.
can 21. And Q1 is the next line, which is 29. Right in the middle is your median. What is a median in this case? It's all in here. You just pick the right number. 33. I'm going to put up here because I have no room to write. Usually I put it down here, but I have no room. I just put it up. Q3 is 41. And where should I put my maximum 80 at? Here, 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 or the last dot? Where should I put my 80, which is my maximum?
Wouldn't it be past all those outliers?
Yes, so the last dot is your what? Maximum 80. You guys all right? So this is how you do what we call as 5-number summary. So modified box plot is this for the graph. 5-number summary is that 5-number, and we need to interpret because the question wants us to interpret this. So does anyone know how to interpret this fellow?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So if the outliers were skewed all the way to the left, the minimum would be
Whatever on this side. Yep.
Okay, so okay.
So if you have dot like this, then this will be 21.
Okay.
The last one. Mm-hmm. If you have on the left side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So interpret. So what is CVD, all right? So do we have any outliers in this case? Yes, we do. That's Benjamin, right? So can someone tell me how do we interpret this one for C? Are we using the mean or the median?
Median.
Okay. So what is the median? So you have to write in full sentences. So the median is what?
33.
33. Yep, right over here. And years old, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna write it over here because I can type this out in here, right? Because it's very hard for me to type. So I'm gonna interpret the CVD over here because I can type. I hate to write with my mouse. So the median is 33 years old. Period. What else do we need to in the V? So what is V stands for this variation? So which one should we need to use? The IQR or the standard deviation?
The IQR
So the IQR
is
is
12.
If you want, you can subtract 41 and 29. What's the difference between these two numbers? 12, right? I heard someone say 12. And if you want, you can haul it to your graph here, and they give you IQR on the third line, say 12. Okay, either way is fine. Okay, you'll still get the same answer. What kind of D distribution we call this? Symmetrical, skew left, or skew right? Let's spell to you. Anyone?
Skew right.
Skew to the right. Yep. And that's a D distribution. And the last one is O for outliers. So how many outliers do we have? Anyone? How many outliers?
Five,
6.
How many dots?
6.
6 dots, right? So a lot of students, well, you count the dots, right? 6 outliers. Actually, if you haul around there, how many outliers do we have?
It says 7.
It says 7. You are correct. So actually, it's not 6, it's 7. The reason why it's 7 is because you remember I can highlight this color, right? So if I highlight these dots, the outliers, you notice that there are 7 outliers here. 52, 68, 3, sorry, look at actress. 63, 60, 74, 61, 80, and another 62. So what happened is that, 61. So there are how many 61 represent? There are 2 61, but how many dots do you think you will see here for 61? You only see 1 dot. So what I want to point to you guys here is, don't just look at the dot and count, oh, there are 6 dots. So there are 6 outliers. That might be not true, because there are some data that shows double, like this 61. Your box plot does not put 2 dots in there. You guys with me here? They only represent by 1 dot. So although there are 261, they only put 1 dot here. So that's the reason why the best way for you guys to do it is don't count the dots, but haul your mouse towards the box plot, and they will say number of outliers 7. So that is the one that you do. Or if you want, you do like highlight it. So draw a little box, highlight it in pink, and they will tell you there are 7 in here, and 61 actually shows up twice. So that's why they only give you 1 dot. There are 2 outliers. So they are so watch out for this. They are very tricky here. So yes, so in order for you to answer it, there are not 6 outliers. There are actually 7 outliers, because 61 have 2, count as 2, but only show 1 dot here. You guys with me here? So this is for the actress, right? Now, I want you guys to do the same thing for the actors, the guys. So go ahead. If you are with me here, go ahead and do the actors, and get rid of all this pink stuff here. So now I want you to concentrate on actors here. So I want you to do the same thing for actors. I want you to find, so this is for the actors now. I still want you to find what the same thing. What is the P17 is, what is the P90 is, and what is the Q1 is. This is the time is the guy, the actress time. And then after that, I want you to draw the box plots. Okay, this is the female or the actresses. Now this is the actresses. And now I want the actors. So draw it out. And then after that, I want you to interpret it like what we did over here. So this is actresses.
Hi, Prof. So the C, D, D, O, the O is the outliers, right?
Yes, always
Okay.
outlier.
Okay, thank you.
D is distribution, C is center, so it's either mean or the median. And the V is variation. The standard deviation of IQ depends on your outlines. And this is 100% coming out in your midterm. It's coming out in your midterm for sure. That's why I want to spend a bit time here so you guys will know what to do. So everyone remember how you find these percentiles? Go to where? How do you find your percentiles? Anyone? You guys are super quiet. I can copy this. Yeah, I can copy and paste it to your stuff. Can I? Oh, I cannot paste it here. Ugh. I don't think so. I can paste things in here. Nope, I don't think so. It's free. Anyone, how to find your these percentiles for the actors? Skylar, Suli, Taven.
Oh, just go to StatCrunch.
Go to
And
where?
then the book.
Yeah, we already got the data already. So this is your data.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, just go under stat. And then you go under summary stat. Okay, columns. Focus on the actors. Okay, and then we put in the percentile.
Which will be what?
1790.
With a comma. Don't forget the comma.
Right, with the comma.
Yep, no comma, no good. And then hit what?
Compute.
Okay. Good, Suli, that's correct. So anyone can tell me what is the result here? What you get for this? 17 percentile is what?
36.
90th percentile.
57.
And the first quartile.
38.
38. Very good. So this is how you do your 5-number summary. Now I want you guys to do the modified box plot. So how do we draw a modified box plot with a 5-number sum? That is like what we did over here. For the actors. Where did we go?
We go to graph. Then we go to box plot.
Very good.
Then we go to actors.
Mm-hmm.
Then we
now this is something I want to point you guys. Okay, so let's say you hit compute. Oh my god, this one came out that direction, right? So you want horizontal, not vertical. So what you do is you go back to option
and click on back
and edit.
Okay.
Okay, so that means they still use back what you put, but you need to check the box out. Yep. So you can always go back to what you did by just go back to option and edit. And you just want to, if you want to edit something from this box plot, you can do so. Okay, so you do not just restart over again, graph and then box plot and all those things. So draw this box plot here. Again, I need to draw it over on this thingy because do we have any outlier in this box plots class?
Yeah, I think we have one.
One.
You have one, maybe. Okay, or you can just go if you have your StatCrunch, you just go towards the box plot. We do have one here. See that number of outliers, one. So can someone tell me what is your 5-number summary? You have to label that. You have to label your 5-number summary here. So this is the box plot. So what are the 5 number summary class? Start with minimum first.
That's 29.
Okay. And what is the Q1?
38.
38. And what's the next one?
42.
I won't put up here because I have usually put down there, but that
And
is your
then-
median.
and
And
then
then follow 50.
And then all the way out to the outlier is 76.
Very good. This is 76. Okay, so this follow, if you want, you can put a little box on it, highlight in pink, and that is the 76 that we talked about. So he is the outlier here. Okay, so only one because it shows one row here. Okay. All right, now we got all the box plot and the 5 number summary done. So now I want you guys to interpret this box plot. Who wants to try here?
The median is 42 years old. The IQR is 12
Wait,
years.
wait, you are fast. The median is 42 years old. Very good. I'm typing. So,
Oh.
Followed by what?
The IQR is 12. Is it years old?
Yep. So
And then-
IQR is the same as the units is the same.
Okay. And then the distribution is you're okay with symmetrical or
No, this is not symmetrical.
skewed to the right? Wait, why isn't it? Because it's 1.
So when you look at the box plot here, this outlier is a part of your data. So it pull everything to the right. Now, the previous one that we have, the dot is right over here.
Oh,
So it's not that far right. You know what I'm saying?
so that matters then.
Oh, yes, this follow matters. Yes.
Okay. I
So
just
make sure
thought
you guys, So make sure that if this dot is the outline is very close to the dot here, then yes, we can say somewhat symmetrical. But since this dot is way up to the right here, far right here, so it is skewed to the right in this case.
Okay. And then there's one outlier.
There's one outlier. Yep, perfect. You guys got this? This
Hello,
was
Prof. Hello, Prof. Could you please show the box plot again?
this is your box plot.
No, the one you drew with your
Just
with
draw
your,
it. Yep, right here.
No, the first, what did you put 21, 21? Oh, 29. Okay, that's fine. I thought you wrote 21.
No, 29. So this is your box actresses. So class, this is quite a lot of points in your test. So make sure you guys know how to do this. You guys all right? Questions for me? Practice, right? So there are so many data sets that you see here. So go ahead and pick anyone. Go back and practice. Pick any data set you want, and then just bear measurements or fresh, whatever you want, and do the same thing as what I just did there. Okay, and do not forget, because all we did here is all having what? Outlines, right? So that's why your CBDO is median and IQR. So what happens if your data set doesn't have an outlier? Let's say I take back this Oscar and I'm going to change, because we know 76 outlier, right? So let's say I change this to 36 just for the heck of it. So we're going to do the whole thing because we changed the data. So we're going to summary stats and the column and the actress, type the the percentile that we have, 17 or 19 or the percentile we used to find, 17 and 90. 70 and 90. Compute. So this is the, yes, it does change a little bit. It's not the same as what you have. I go to graph and I do the box plot, the same thing, actors, and so now we got this. Now this one is nice. Do we have any outliers in this case? If I just change that, that's no, right? So can someone tell me with this new box plot here, how do we interpret it? So we got a nice one like that.
So we don't do the deal, right?
We still do CBDO.
Yeah, we just do CV. Do we do DO?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
D
So
is
the-
distribution, O is outliers. Yes, we do all three of them. All four of them.
Since
So-
you don't have outliers, that's why I was asking.
So what happens if you don't have outliers?
You just put you don't have outliers. There's no outliers.
If you have no outliers, you have to report what?
CD or SD.
The
Or the V.
mean and the standard deviation. This is what it means. If you have no outliers, you have to report the mean. And so do we have any outliers in this case?
No, there's no outliers.
So you have to report the mean and the standard deviation. So what is the mean in this case? Right here. That's your
We'll
mean.
do males, the actors.
Yeah. I just changed the outliers a little bit. You know what I
So
mean?
43.6.
Yep, 43.7 years old. Yeah, this is the same data set. I just changed the outliers. I don't want to take out, I changed the numbers. What will be your V here? The standard deviation is what? 8.3 years old. What will be your distribution here? Does that skew left?
Does it
Skew-
matter?
Is that symmetrical?
This is symmetrical. Yes, Casey.
Does it matter that that middle line is like to
I
the
told you
left?
before, right? It's not, you don't need to be exactly perfect.
Yeah.
Mhm. So this is considered symmetrical.
So that line matters, and then the outline matter also.
Okay, wait for a minute. Casey, the line, if this line is really, really show like this,
Yeah.
then yes, then it will be skewed to the right.
Oh, okay.
But this
So it
line
does
is
matter.
it's not that far away, so it's considered symmetrical. And
Okay,
someone mentioned
so-
something just now.
Okay.
What? Someone's mentioned something? And the outliers, do we have any outliers here?
No, we don't.
There are no outliers. Yep. So this is what you need to do if you got a stat, if you have a box plot like this where it doesn't have any outliers, you have to report the mean and the standard deviation. You guys got what I'm saying? Yeah, if you have this kind of graph, then this is actually skewed to the right.
And you said we can put anything on the paper we bring into exam, right? Anything.
One page, yes, front page.
Why?
I'm very emphasized on front page because last semester I got one student do back to front and back. I have to call her to pick one page and make copy of it, and she cried. Cannot help it. Yep. I want to tell you it's only one front page. Yes. You can write as whatever you want. And I got students just go write 2 sentences. I'm fine with it.
Hey, do you care if we bring in like a magnifying glass?
I don't care what.
Okay.
Up to you what you want to do. Don't start a fire. I can tell
Are
you
you
that.
guys serious at all?
No, but
Hmm?
if you
Just
type
kidding,
it,
just kidding, just kidding.
I don't class. These kind of questions I'm not gonna answering. It's up to you. You want to how small, how big? Don't ask me. Do you know what I write down there? I was like, I don't know what you write down. That's what you wrote. I cannot read your handwriting. I won't answer any questions. Say, all right, you can bring whatever you want. I don't really care as long as one page. You want to be magnifying or whatever, be my guess. Okay. All right. So this is how we do your modified box plot. This is also how we interpret your modified box plot CVDO. Very important. So now these are something that you have to know. And this is, as you mentioned, as you see, I put something here, memorize these formulas. So this is very important. The first thing you need to talk about here is how do we figure outliers? You guys know what outliers means, right? That is the numbers that's way out from the rest of the data. So how do we identify outliers? So like here, how do the box plot identifying outliers? You know, how do we know? You know, this number the highest number here is what, 62, right? How do we know 62 is not an outlier? And then if you refer to the president, the 62 is an outlier. So how did they figure that one out? We have a formula, and that formula is this formula. So in order for, if the question gives us a 5-number summary, which is the mean, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum, the upper fence and the lower fence is given us by this formula. That means the fences is kind of like, if a data fall inside this fence, then it's no outliers. If a number fall outside the fence, it's considered outliers. So it's using Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR for the upper fence, and the lower fence is Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. So if any data falls outside these fences, is considered outliers. So this is used by your box plot, your modified box plot. So that's the reason why that you do not need to calculate these fences when you use your computer to do so. Your computer will automatically calculate this for you. But if you want to do it by hand, then this is how they do it. Okay. So this is one. So yes, please memorize this. This is very important. You have to memorize this fellow. So if this is only used if a question provides you 5-number summary. For example, is question 2. So if you look at question 2, this is the 5-number summary for the temperature in Minneapolis for December. Okay. And the question wants you to figure out the outliers here. Now, you cannot use that mean plus minus 2 times standard deviation. Remember that what we call the range of rule of thumb? We cannot use that here. It's because the question did not provide us mean, and the question did not provide us standard deviation. And you do not use approximate. Oh, the mean is around 40 because the median is 42. You know, you don't do that. So what do we do in this kind of question number 2 here is you have to use this lower and upper fence since they give you the 5-number summary. So what happens is, first thing first, you need to know find your IQR. So you guys still remember how you find your IQR here? So how do you find your IQR?
Q1.
So IQR in this case is Q3 minus Q1. So by looking at the results, what is your Q3 and what is your Q1?
49 minus 38.
Yep. What is 49 take away 38?
11.
11. So this is the first thing you do is Q3 minus Q1. And then next thing you need to figure out here is you need to do your upper fence. So in order for us to figure out your upper fence is you take Q3 plus 1.5 times your IQR. So you need a calculator here. So you just plug everything in there. So Q3 is 49 plus 1.5 times IQR. And IQR in this case is 11. So take out your calculator and figure this number out. And then to find your lower fence, this is the formula you use, Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. So yes, some simple calculation.
Upper fence is 65.5.
65.5.
Yes.
Okay. And then for lower fence, Q1 is 38. Minus 1.5 times IQR, which is 11. So again, these are the two formulas. It's fixed. You cannot change those numbers. So again, take out your calculator and calculate this. This is not difficult.
21.5.
21.5.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, the temperature, this degree Fahrenheit is your unit. So if you scared, I take points off. This will be your unit here. Usually in the test question, they will give you the unit. So so this is the fences. So don't forget, any number falls outside these fences is considered outliers. So how do we figure out outliers in this case? Is you look at your minimum and you look at your maximum. So if I want to draw this as a better looking, a nice looking numbers here. So is you calculate that, you say that the lower fence in this case is 21.5. And the upper fence in this case is 65.5. So now you're looking at your minimum and your maximum. So minimum is 29, right? Is 29, where do you put 29 in this number line? Inside or outside the fence?
Inside.
So 29 is somewhere here, right?
Yep.
So is 29 an outliers?
No.
So 29 is not an outliers. So what is the maximum? Maximum is 66, right?
Yep.
So where is 66 in this number line?
After the 65.5.
Right here, this is 66, right?
Yeah.
Is this an outlier?
It is an outlier, but it doesn't pull much weight.
Yep, but it's still an
outlier.
So in this case, do we have any outliers in this case?
Yes, we do.
And is that on the low end or the high end? Or both?
On the high end.
So there is an outlier, a potential, because potential outlier, and you say it's on the high end, or we call it we sometimes use the word significant high because it's on the other side. So this is how you figure out using this formula, Q, the upper and lower fence, Q3 plus 1.5 IQR and Q1 minus 1.5 IQR. And you look at your minimum and your maximum. So if your minimum is outside, then it's considered, yes, it will be outlier on the low end. This is low, don't forget. And if it's on the high end, it will be on this side. And what happens if this number is both min and max is inside this range? Then we do not have any outliers. Okay. So if your minimum and maximum is in between this range, then you don't have any outliers. So for this question, since 66 is outside, so we do have an outlier in this case. You guys all right here?
Yep.
And that is how we use this formula. Okay. So again, memorize it or put it in your notes. So if the question gives you 5 number summary, you use this. Yes, Lawrence?
No.
And if the question gives you raw data, so what is raw data? Raw data will be like this, like this. This is considered raw data, means all this data set. So this is considered raw data here. So if a question provides you raw data, the best way for you to find your outlier is to draw a modified box plot. So to draw this box plot. Okay. So make sure you guys know what the question provides to you. 5 number summary, you use this formula. If a question gives you all the data sets, use the modified box plot like what we just did before. If a question provides us mean and standard deviation, then you use your range of rule of thumb, which is the mean plus minus 2 standard deviation. If a question gives us mean, standard and a value, we will do the z-score. And don't forget the z-score is where the 2 is a cutoff point, plus minus 2 is a cutoff point.
I have a question. So like if we were provided raw data, is the exam going to be on a computer or it's going to be computer and paper?
You need computer to do your stat work, to do your stat crunch.
Right. So
yes. So your computer will be using stat crunch here.
So
Yeah.
we're putting all the answers in the computer.
No. You have to write it out on a paper.
Okay, you're gonna give us a paper to write the answers on.
I give you, your test will be exactly like these notes,
Okay,
where it will be a question like this and you have to write it out.
and it's gonna be on a computer.
No, it's gonna be paper.
Okay, and then when it comes to StatCrunch questions, we go to the computer.
You have to use the computer to run it. Yes.
And you are going to give us the raw data and stuff.
I will tell you use this data.
Okay.
Or I will tell you use this data set. So you have to go into that StatCrunch to get the data set.
So what would be an example of a raw data?
A raw data will be this. This is what we call as raw data.
Okay.
These are called raw data.
And would it also always be actor, actress?
It depends on your data set.
Okay.
This data set is Oscar, so you got actors and actors, yes. Yeah, I don't know what, there are so many data sets here, right? Have you looked at all these data sets yet? If not, I recommend you to look at it. Just click on it and look at it. And I would specifically, do we do earthquake before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will tell you what data set to use.
I mean, like, are there specific ones we should focus on? Just the one we talk about in class, right? Like
The whole thing, just
the whole thing. Okay.
I will tell you what to do. So that's what you need to play. So go back home, go to one of the data set or multiple data set, do and play with it. Draw the box plot, draw everything like what I just did here today's class. You have to practice. If you don't practice, that's it. So depends on what the question provide to us. So if a question provide us the 5-number summary, you do this, right? All these things. So what happens in the test? They give you the 5-number summary, and also I give you the mean and the standard deviation. So in the test, I give you this, and I also give you the mean and the standard deviation. Mean is this, standard is that. So can you use this 5-number summary, upper lower fence, to do this case? Yes. Can you use a range of rule of thumb to do this case? Yes. So if I give you all these numbers, it's up to you in the test. You can use the 5-number summary, or you can use the mean and standard deviation to do it. It's up to you what to do, but your answer is still going to be the same, that there will be a potential outliers on the high. Okay, no matter which one you do. And don't do both. You're wasting your time.
Wait, but you do specify what to find. You say find lower up.
I will say
right?
find the outliers.
That's all you're gonna ask.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I will ask you. I don't say this. I will say outliers.
You say you're not tricky. You are tricky.
This is the question. This is your question. So solely, you have to think about it. I'm not going to provide you everything. You need to think about it. You need to think what happens when I say potential outliers. I'm not telling you what to do. You have to think about it. This is what you need to do. If you don't think about it, then what's the purpose of you taking a class? You need to think about something else. All right. So make sure you practice. That's what you do. So my question to you solely is how much time you practice. There you go.
I practice.
Okay, then you better practice more. All right, next one is first example. We didn't do this. So this question is telling us that this bow has a height of 92.95 inches, and man has a mean height of 69 inches and a standard deviation of 2.8 inches. So these are all the numbers given to us. So question A is asking us, what is the difference between bow's height and the mean height? So do you guys know what's the meaning when I say difference? What do you do with difference?
Minus.
So what you need to minus with?
Minus 69.9 from 92.95.
So you take 92.95 minus what?
Minus 69.9.
69.9. So what you get? Calculators.
(23.05 inches).
Well, how much?
23.05 inches.
23.05 inches.
Yep.
So that is the how we do the first one. You just subtract them. Okay. Now part B is a little bit tricky because they're asking you that how many standard deviation is found in part A. So in order for us to do standard deviation, standard deviation is actually if you read the z-score, the z-score is asking you for the number of standard deviation. So if a question is asking for how many standard deviation, this question is asking for z-score. Okay. So when you do your online homework, they will do the same thing. They'll ask you for how many standard deviation, and they will ask. That means they're asking for z-score. So that means that if you read that question C. Question C is also asked for what?
Z-score.
Z-score. So in this case, question B and C is asking exactly the same thing. The only difference here is when they ask you for standard deviation, this is only measured in positive. So what do I mean is that if your standard deviation is negative 2.8, you just report it as 2.8 standard deviation. So when you do how many standard deviation, they only measure in positive, means you have to take absolute value. So if your answer is negative, you have to absolute value it. Okay. So how do we figure out the number of standard deviation? Is you take the value, which is 92.95, minus the mean 69.9, divided by the standard deviation 2.8. And this is the formula right over here. This is the formula to find, this is the formula to find standard z-score. So make sure you guys take, so the only value, if this came out negative, take absolute value of it. That's the only difference for this case. So anyone have an answer here? We redid this subtraction, right, from part A, which is 23.05. And we divide this by what? 2.8, right?
8.23.
I'm sorry?
I got 8.23. I don't know if that's correct though.
Yeah, that is correct. Okay. Since this number is positive, so you just leave it like that. If you get a negative, you just absolute value it. Part C is asking for z-score. So z-score in this case is the same as part B, 8.23. And what is the meaning of z-score? Z-score can be negative and it can be positive. So since you found part B is a positive, then you just put 8.23. So just need to know the difference between these two. So this is always measured in positive. So that means you take absolute value of it. Z-score can be negative and it can be positive based on the formula here. So this is positive, so we put the positive. You guys got what I'm trying to say here. And the last thing they ask here is asking for is does bound met the criteria of being significant? So this is the word that they like to use in your homework. The word significant means outliers. So in your homework, I use outliers in my test, but in your homework, in your textbook, they like to use the word significant. Another meaning means outliers. So it's bounds, height, and outliers. So what consider outlier? What z-score consider outliers? Anyone still remember?
I mean, if you like think about it critically, it's not an outlier, because if you look at the mean, no, it should be an outlier.
So remember what is considered outliers?
Yeah, something that is far away from the normal.
I know, but what number what are the numbers? What's the cutting point numbers?
Is it 2 and -2?
Yes, that is correct, Suli. So yes, any number that's outside 2 or below -2 is outlier. So make sure you guys know that in order for us to find outlier, your z-score in this case has to be greater than 2 or less than -2. So my question is this z-score an outlier, 8.23? Is this an outlier?
It's high. It's I mean,
it's
well,
we call it the extreme. So yes, so this is actually, so in this case, bow is an outlier because the z-score is what? Is above 2. Okay, so his z-score in this case is what? 8 point something, right? 8.23 is above 2. So that's the reason why, so this is usually how we figure outliers. If you use the z-score, is anything that is above 2 or less than -2 is considered outliers. And his score is 8.23. So if you remember on the first picture that we did here, we save this one and then I open the other one back. The first picture that we did. So remember this, so the z-score, so anything that is above 2 and below -2 is considered outliers. Anything in between that is no outliers. So if you want to compare this one with his, he is 8.23. 8.23 is right over here. So this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, and then this is 9. His z-score is right here, which is definitely, that's what so we say very far away. That is correct. His is so far away that is called the extreme outlier. We call this as an extreme outlier. Okay, so you do not need to worry about that, but make sure you know that 2 is a cutoff point. 2 plus minus 2 is a cutoff point. So because of that, he is an outlier. So that's it for, I think we did that question 3 on Wednesday. So please check that one out. So I will post this in D2L. So so this homework is also due on Wednesday. What's this Wednesday? The 22nd. So you do have 2 homework due on this Wednesday, which is 3.3 and 3.2. Okay. And I think I told you guys on Wednesday class, anything that to do with StatCrunch, please don't use help me to solve this because they will do the long way. In order for you to draw this box plot, if you don't have StatCrunch, if you do help me to solve this, you will cry. It will be like 30 steps to just do this. So please don't look at that. Go to your StatCrunch and do the graph like the one I showed to you. So how the last thing I'm going to show you is how do you import your homework data into StatCrunch? It's very easy. So let's say you're doing 3.3 and let's see question 10. So there's a little corner part here. So this question, they want you to find Q1. So you don't enter all these numbers into StatCrunch. You want if you want to, but if you click on this little little square there or rectangle, and they will say open to StatCrunch. You click on it, they will import everything into StatCrunch. So all this data will be imported to StatCrunch. So what you need to do is you just need to find Q1. Does everyone remember how you find your Q1 here? You want to know how to find your Q1? Go where? Go to Stats, Summary Stats, column, and hit var1 because we didn't assign any variables on it. So you hit compute, and the Q1 in this case will be 0.7. So this is 0.7. Okay, and do you know what happens when you say help me to solve this? You don't like, you got a formula came out and all these things. So do not do this. Do not do this because you won't get this, very difficult. Okay, so I'm teaching you the easiest way to get the answer here. I also want to take attendance. I haven't taken attendance yet. So can you guys go to the chat room and type present? Yep, forget attendance.
So do you do office hour in person?
Yeah, not in person, she's Zoom.
Okay, so would it be the same hours here, like 11 to 12 every Mondays and Wednesdays?
No, because I have classes. So the Zoom, my office hours on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
I don't teach on Tuesday, Thursday, so that's why you just need to tell me what time you want me to help you with Zooming here.
Oh, wow. So what time?
You tell me what you send me an email.
Do you do evening?
I don't do late, so I
Oh.
won't do like 8, 9, 10 p.m. No. So send me an email and give me selected times so I can help you with it.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep. So Tuesday, Thursday will be the one that I have free time for Zoom. So I'm gonna stop sharing here and I'm gonna stop recording. So please watch this if you need help.